Okay. Did you guys find the Stats Medic on Schoology? No. Okay, someone else said the same thing. So let me go to Schoology. I apologize, guys. You guys did say on that slide you like how we're doing this all digitally. I like and don't like it. This is the kind of stuff I don't like. And then it's like, oh, I forgot to post it on there. I thought I did it, but apparently I didn't. So. And I like to do it at home because, believe it or not, the internet there is better than this one. Go figure. Takes me longer to do it here. Okay, so Stats Medic. I'm just trying to open up the folder right now, and it's just sitting here. Okay, well, yep, all right, I didn't put it in there. Yeah, so while it's getting loaded into Schoology, give me a second there. You can kind of read here what it's asking. It says Whitney High School has decided to offer an SAT prep class this year. It will be offered in 2 different formats, online or classroom teacher. Okay. The counselors want to know which teaching method will yield higher SAT scores, so they have allowed us to set up an experiment. So with our experiment, hold on here, type this in, Stats Medic. I'll call this SAT prep. And pull it up. Okay. So they are allowing us to set up an experiment. There's 50 students that have signed up for the experiment, and they're going to take some sort of SAT prep class. We have 20 seniors and 30 juniors. So we have 50 students total. And the 2 different things, the treatments here are the type of SAT prep class. Oh, come on. Now Google's Docs doesn't want to connect. Okay, it's connecting. It's got to hit upload. Select a file. And where are we? I'm going to go to this folder. I apologize, guys. I like to be more organized than this. AP Stats 2021, Unit 3, Stats Medic, and there it is. Okay, it is uploading. It is uploading. In the other category. And okay, I just hit create. Okay, I think it's there. Open up Schoology, find this document. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so number 1 says to describe a completely randomized design to compare the 2 treatments. So completely randomized is your basic experiment. That means no blocking, just your straight out, completely randomized design. So we would take our 50 students. And how many groups are we going to have to divide them into? In other words, how many treatments do we have here? Okay. Treatments are the SAT prep class. So how many different types of SAT prep classes are we having? Can you guys see it up there? You guys are all quiet. Come on. Not 1, but 2. The 2 classes. 2 different formats. online versus being in a classroom with a teacher. Those are our treatments. Okay, so we're going to compare those two formats to see basically which one is going to improve SAT scores. Okay, so describe a completely randomized design. We basically need to take these 50 students and split them into two groups. Okay? Now, it does not say specifically, but you could, in theory, in your experiment, include a control group that doesn't take any kind of SAT prep class. Ethically, I don't think that would be fair to these students because these students signed up to take an SAT prep class. So it wouldn't really be fair to say, no, you know what, we're having an experiment. You want to take an SAT prep class, but we're not going to let you do it because we want you to be in our control group. So we're not going to do that. So we're not going to have a control group. They all want to take an SAT prep class, but what we're going to do is randomly assign whether their prep class is offered online or by a classroom teacher. So we need to divide these 50 students into two groups equally. So we need to describe how to do that. So we would number the students 1 through 50. Okay. And now we need to choose 25 of them to take the online prep class. Now we can do that with a random number generator. We can put 50 slips of paper in a hat. I mean, there's more than one way to do this, but we do need to come up with a randomization process to assign 25 of these students to take the online, and then the other 25 would take the classroom teacher. So I could say use a random number generator to generate 25 numbers 1 through 50 with no repeats. You got to say that. If you're doing the papers in a hat method and you're going to pull out 25 papers, make sure you say you mix them first. Okay, so the things that people lose points are is with the random number generator, they don't always say whether or not you're allowed to repeat. We're not allowed to repeat because we can't pick the same person twice. If you put the numbers in a hat, if you don't mix them, it's not random because you're just going to be picking up the last numbers that you put in. If you don't mix the numbers in the hat, you're not actually randomizing. So those are the common things that people miss when they are explaining how they would do that. Okay, so pick numbers 1 through 50 with no repeat. These students with those numbers would take the online course. And then the other 25 take the classroom course, where you actually come into a class. Okay, someone just came in. Sam must have gotten booted out. And she's coming back in. Okay. So we got 25 students taking an online course. We got 25 students taking a classroom course. And this is an SAT prep course. Okay. What do we do next? Okay. So the courses end. Then what do we do? Okay. So we're not done. I mean, we need to do something here. What are we trying to see? We're trying to see which course is better, right? I know you guys know this. Okay, we're trying to see which course is better. How are we going to determine which course is better? What are we going to compare? Yeah, the scores. Okay, so we're going to compare SAT scores. Okay, so we want to see which group has higher SAT scores. So after the courses finish, all students take the SAT. SAT and scores from the two groups are compared. Okay. Now to control for any outside variables, we need to make sure that we treat the groups of students equally and other than just the type of SAT prep class that they're taking. Okay. So everything else about them should be treated equally. Any kind of differences between the students themselves should be taken care of by the randomization process. So yeah, you might have some students that are stronger than other students going into it, but with the randomization process, you should hopefully have strong students in each group and weaker students in each group because we've randomized, okay? So that's why we randomize. Otherwise, it's possible if you said, hey, you can choose what kind of course you want. Maybe all the stronger students, like to work with a classroom teacher and they all choose this one. And this group ends up with higher SAT scores, but what we wouldn't know is that because of the format, or is it because those were stronger students that chose that format? So we wouldn't know the reason for the higher scores. But if we keep everything else equal between these two groups, then we can say cause and effect. We can say that the type of format on the course here is the direct cause for the difference in the SAT scores. So if one group has significantly higher SAT scores than the other, we could say that it is caused by the type of format they had in their prep course. Okay, question number 2. The counselors hypothesized that online versus classroom results could be greatly affected by the grade level of students. Okay? Specifically, they know that seniors generally score better on the SAT than juniors. They're a year older. Chances are they've already taken the SAT before more times than the juniors, so they have some more experience with the SAT itself. But in general, they know that seniors tend to score higher than juniors. So if we mix the seniors and the juniors together, we're going to have more variability in our groups because you got the seniors with the higher scores, the juniors with the lower scores. That's going to create more variability. Okay, so we can adjust our experiment to ensure that there's an even split of seniors and juniors in each class. So what are they asking us to do here? Starts with a B. What kind of design would this be? Starts with a B. And then there's an L. You guys are killing me. Yes, block. This is a blocked design. Okay. In a block design, you divide your students up by some specific characteristic, and it says, we think that grade level creates variation because the seniors tend to do better than the juniors, so we would want to block them by grade level. So we would separate into two groups, and the two groups would be the, what do we got? We have 20 seniors and 30 juniors. So 20 juniors, and I did that wrong, didn't I? Yep, 20 seniors and 30 juniors. Okay, and then we're going to do the exact same process that we did up here, but we're going to do it for two different groups. Now I'm not going to write this all out because it takes me a lot longer to write. You guys can feel free to type, but we're going to take our 20 seniors and we are going to separate them into two treatment groups randomly. So we're going to number these 20 seniors 1 through 20. We can use a random number generator to generate numbers 1 through 20. The first 10 numbers that come up with no repeats, the seniors that have those numbers will take the online class. The other 10 will take the classroom teacher course. At the end, they'll all take the SAT and we will compare the two groups. And then we're going to do the exact same thing with the juniors. We have 30 juniors. We will number them 1 through 30. Put 30 slips of paper into a hat and mix them up very well. We pick out 15 slips of paper. The juniors with those 15 numbers take the online class. The other 15 juniors take the in-class class. At the end, they all take the SAT and we compare. And then we can also compare the average difference between the seniors and the juniors at the end too. But the key thing is, yeah, we compare the 2 treatment groups for the seniors and we compare the 2 treatment groups for the juniors. Okay. Oh, Elena got kicked out of the waiting room. I didn't hear the sound. Okay, she's back in. Okay, so we separate in 2 groups, equally sized groups. If you notice that what this block design is, it's basically like running just 2 separate experiments. So you're just doing the exact same experiment on the juniors and you're doing the same experiment on the seniors. You're just separating them, okay? So that's a blocked design, separating them. Okay. Now, why do we do this? Okay, so blocked design reduces the variability within each treatment group. Okay, we like low variability. Low variability makes our values more precise. So when we estimate how well the online class performs, and we estimate how well the classroom class performs, we will have a more precise estimate when we have lower variability. So that's the reason why we might choose to block. So doing a block design reduces the variability within each treatment group, allowing for more precision. I think I spelled that wrong. I think it's a C right there. I'm a bad speller, I'm sorry. Okay. Number 3, counselors are now worried that, wait a minute, a student's GPA is going to affect their SAT score. So stronger students that have higher GPAs, I might expect them to perform better on the SAT, regardless of which type of course they take. So let's look only at the juniors. So let's forget about the seniors. We're only going to experiment now on the juniors. So we have 30 juniors. We want to make sure that the different GPAs are being evenly distributed into the treatment group. Okay? So we want to distribute those 30 juniors evenly into 2 treatment groups, but taking their GPAs into consideration. So how could we do that? What if I write this on the side? Could we do matched pairs? So what if we took the 2 juniors with the highest GPA, one of them gets online, the other one gets classroom. We can flip a coin to decide which one gets which. But the 2 highest GPA juniors, one of them takes the online, one of them takes the classroom, randomly assigned, flip of a coin will do it. Then we take the next 2 juniors with the next 2 highest GPAs, and we do the same thing, flip a coin. Heads, you get the online class, tails, you get the classroom instruction. And you do that going all the way down the line for the 30 juniors until you end up with the 2 students with the lowest 2 GPAs, flip a coin and decide. That way, the 2 groups will have equally distributed GPAs. In other words, the online group will have high GPAs and low GPAs that run the entire gamut of the GPA spectrum, as will the other group. And we call this matched pairs because we are literally pairing up our juniors by a specific characteristic, GPA, and then we're splitting them into their groups based off of their GPAs. Okay, so we could do something like this. Take the top 2 GPAs and flip a coin. So heads, the GPA number 1 takes online, and number 2 takes classroom. Or vice versa. Meaning that if you get tails, you flip it. Tails, GPA number 1, the highest GPA person would take class, and then the next one would take the online. Do that for each pair of GPAs. So continue pairing by GPA and using the coin to assign course type. Okay, and then at the end, everybody takes the SAT, and then you compare the group that had the online course versus the group that had the classroom course. So from there, it's exactly the same. You would do the comparing of the 2 groups. Okay, matched pairs, if you remember in the video, he said that a lot of times matched pairs, you match with yourself, meaning that you, or whoever the subjects are, do both treatments. We couldn't really do this here. We can't take our 30 juniors and first have them take the online course, take a GPA, and then have them take the in a class course and then take the SAT again and then see which one gave them the higher GPA. We just can't do that because taking the SAT multiple times is in of itself a variable that can affect your GPA. So we can't do this matched pairs with the same people doing both treatments. A lot of times we can do that when you're looking at something that is literally something that a person can do 2 times. There's a good AP question that was on insect repellent, and they had people put one brand on this arm, the other brand on this arm, and then they put their arms in the box with all the mosquitoes, and then they could compare which arm had more bites. And that was a good matched pairs because each person, either arm, should have the same ability to attract mosquitoes. I mean, you guys know, my son, covered with mosquito bites all the time. My daughter loves to say that in her whole life, she's gotten 1 mosquito bite. And I mean, who knows why? I mean, nobody really knows, but we tell my son he's got sweet blood because I mean, he literally is covered with mosquito bites whenever we go outside. And my daughter, not 1. So comparing 2 different treatments of mosquito repellent with them, it wouldn't tell me much because yeah, she doesn't get mosquito bites anyway. I have no idea if that spray worked. She wouldn't have gotten bitten regardless. So I'm comparing the same person by putting 2 arms in. So you see how that's a matched pair as well? It's the one person, but you're using the 2 arms. You can also do that with, shoes or things, that you put on your feet. How good does a pair of socks wear? How often do socks get holes? You put one sock on one foot, the other sock on the other foot. Randomly, you got to flip a coin to decide which foot gets which one, but you can do that matched pairs within yourself as well. Okay, so we have looked at randomized block design. So we know that we have blocking, to reduce our variability. And we also have matched pairs. Matched pairs is really just blocks of 2. So with matched pairs, oops, I forgot the ED. With matched pairs, you're really still blocking. You're just blocking them into pairs. So blocking everybody by GPA, you're still creating all of these blocks based off of their GPA. And then within each block, you're separating them into their 2 groups. So this really is blocking by pairs. Okay. So you pair individuals in individuals by a characteristic or you can pair an individual with him or herself. You know, like pairing the 2 arms or the 2 legs, or if it's a treatment that you can literally take and then take a different treatment later. They talked about that in the video with the depression medication. You could have a person take depression medication, see what kind of improvement there was, and then take them off the medication, and then later on put them on the second medication, and then see what kind of improvement there was on the second medication. So it is entirely possible with something like that. Or the person with themselves, that will definitely get rid of any confounding variables because you're literally. Okay, now check your understanding here. It says researchers would like to design an experiment. How much time do we have? We got like 3 minutes, so really quick. Researchers would like to design an experiment to compare the effectiveness of 3 different advertisements on a new television series featuring the work of Jane Austen. Okay, right away, how many of you guys just got excited about a TV series about Jane Austen? Anybody? Okay, did anybody go, oh yeah, I'm not going to watch that? No? Nobody had one opinion one way or the other? Okay, well, I think it sounds awesome. But anyway, completely randomized design. So you're going to create a completely randomized design. You're going to divide these 300 volunteers to compare 3 different ads. And the idea is they watch the ad and they're going to be more likely to want to watch the TV show. We want to see which ad is more effective. Now, here, randomized block design. It does not tell you which block to use. So that's what I want to discuss. How do you think you could block these participants? So what's something that you think could affect the variability of whether people would be interested in watching a Jane Austen TV series? So what's a characteristic about people that might affect their choice in watching a Jane Austen? There's not just one right answer. So no one has an idea? You guys are like just bumps on a log today. Come on. Okay. Gender could be. You could say, well, Jane Austen, you know, probably might appeal more to females than males. So maybe I might want to block by gender. That would be okay. You could expect more variability if you include the 2 genders together. You could block maybe by, you know, familiarity with Jane Austen. People who've read a lot of Jane Austen and know who Jane Austen is probably would have a different reaction to watching a Jane Austen commercial than people who've never even heard of Jane Austen. So you could block by just familiarity with Jane Austen. Okay, and then why is the block design better? Okay, you guys have this to finish up, and then there is a free response on AP Classroom. Okay, so that's it. Just finish this up, and then a free response on AP Classroom. Okay, I see you guys again on Monday. On the update on Schoology, I sent a link for you guys to download a lockdown browser if you have a Windows or a Mac. So if you do have Windows or Mac, please download that. We're going to test it on Monday. If you have a personal